balance. Here are the rear wheels with the asphalt on the outside. There's enough, this is all ground up pavement from the track. It's collecting in these wheels and tending to throw them out of balance, and it's getting in the car and in the engine room and in all the parts of the racing car. And it may well be in the gearbox of the Jaguar that's causing it to fail. But at any rate, we're getting pulverized asphalt all over the atmosphere here. We're going to have to see OSHA about working in such a polluted atmosphere.
Hey, Chris,
yeah.
Chris, what about for next week with the Grand National cars coming in here and that banking up on the turns 3 and 4 area?
Well, I think that most of this is probably coming off the infield circuit. The NASCAR cars don't have the ground effects that these do. They're not being glued to the racetrack, even though they weigh 3,700 pounds. They sort of ride on it rather than plow their way through it. It's the aerodynamics of the undersides of these cars that make for 2,000, 2,500 pounds of downforce, in addition to the weight of the car that's doing this to the track surface.
Plus, of course, we have much stickier tires on this type of car, which is what drags the surface up, and of course, which is why these guys are finding it difficult to go through the banking absolutely flat out, because the tires are really basically too soft to construction and compound to go through the banking that fast, which is why NASCAR cars have very special tires.
Latest report from Dover, Delaware was that Bill Elliott continues to dominate anything that's a mile or larger this year in Winston Cup Grand National racing. He just can't be stopped.
I'm sure that Bill Elliott would still give up his win at Dover, Delaware this week for a win right here at Charlotte in the World 600 next week with a cool $1 million bonus awaiting his little grubby paws at the end of the race if he should win it.
The car number 14 that stays out in front here today, the Al Holbrook car. Holbert is the one driver here who really has some experience on this super speedway. He drove in stock car races for some time, drove for Junie Donlevy here in the World 600. First time out, I think he ran about 6 laps. One time he ran the entire 600 miles. He told me yesterday, he said the last 100 miles, he definitely knew the feeling of a vegetable.
Yeah, when these drivers here have all been complaining about the heat and the strain. And of course, these other guys, next week, they're going to go 600 miles.
There's the third place car, number 67, and you're riding with Jim Busby as he's up on the 24-degree banking, and he's right up against the wall as he comes around, turns numbers 3 and 4, and comes down across the start-finish line for turn number 1 of this 2.25-mile road course where you're watching live. You're with Busby now as he sweeps into the infield portion of the course. On a 4 or 5-degree bank there to assist him. Here he comes for turn 3. This was the part of the course that many said would give them real problems today. Have you had any trouble there?
No, we've seen very little action at turn 3, really. A good passing point. There you see him scooting along that little short infield straight, probably getting up to about 125, 130 down there. This is a long, long, long right-hander. I'm sure this is one of the corners that's breaking up, and they're bringing the asphalt out of. And then we know they're bringing the asphalt up here just as they go up onto the banking right at the apex here. Apparently they have a real bad problem with asphalt there.
The BF Goodrich car, number 67, running in the 3rd position. Jim Busby. And that team.
And he's running with Rick Knoop. It won't do Rick Knoop any harm to come 3rd, because that'll give him some needed points. He's running 3rd in the championship at the moment. But Al Holbrook, if he wins this race and gets 20 points, he's going to make a gigantic leap to 104 points to Chip Robinson's 2nd at 62 points.
Car number 14 continuing to lead here this afternoon in the Charlotte Grand Prix. This race marks an anniversary for the Porsche of Al Holbrook and Derek Bell.
Serial number of the 3rd Porsche 962 ever built. It made its maiden voyage in the hands of Al Holbrook at this race 1 year ago.
We got off to a poor start. We led, but we failed. But since then, the car's been through an awful lot.
Indeed, car 14 has since run 16 long races, and it's finished in the top 5 13 times, including a remarkable 7 trips to victory lane. The veteran Holbrook maintains some race cars develop strong personalities, and he and co-driver Derek Bell are in agreement. They have this one figured out.
I liken this car to be a good partner. I mean, it's done a good job for me, but I wouldn't say it's like a long-lost buddy. You know, if it went away and was sold to someone, I'd say, well, you know, like good partners, someday you part your ways.
I've got to know it. It's got its own personality, and I can get in that car, and within 5 laps, I'm doing very fast times, which I enjoy. You know, it's not doesn't mean that I'm good. It means the car is excellent, that you can get down to a good time quickly, and I enjoy that. And I think the car has a great personality, and Al and I seem to have found out what it is and have a rapport with it.
Inevitably, Al and Derek will someday part company with their longtime friend, and Holbrook thinks number 14 would be a real bargain high-mileage used car.
Well, I tell you, I would consider it pretty strongly if I was a buyer. It's got a lot of good things on it that have been massaged and added by the guys who work on them day in and day out and know what it takes. And I think those are things that they wouldn't find on a new one.
Number 14 with a big lead here, and it's just liable to be a chicken and biscuit celebration of that anniversary for Derek Bell. With 13 laps to go, they're closing in on victory here in the Charlotte Grand Prix. Stand by. We'll be back for the finish of this 500-kilometer battle right after this.
At the Charlotte Grand Prix, car number 63, Jim Downing, is continuing. That team is continuing to lead here in the Camel Light Series, and they are running 5th overall. Mafucci and Downing, number 63. The Mazda Argo is in first. The Morgan Alsop car, number 6. A Buick Royale is in second. They just pitted the second-place car. And in third is the Marsh Pauley team. But Jim Downing, who was one of the men instrumental in putting this division together, giving folks a chance to operate with a prototype car, and not the great amount of money that is in the supercars that we're seeing here today. They still look mighty handsome, and they add to these fields. That car is now leading, and they've been winning this year. Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
Well, Ken, we are with Jim Downing right now. Jim, your car is in 5th place overall, running very strong.
Well, it is, and we've had almost a flawless day. I made one unscheduled stop because I thought I had a flat tire, but it was a false alarm.
Until just a lap or two ago, you were on the same lap with car number 6, the second-place car in the class.
Well, Charles Morgan's car is about 3 seconds behind us, or at least they were just a minute ago. I think they're pitting for fuel right now, which should give us the edge and let us relax just a little bit.
Are you done in the pits for the day?
We are, unless something unexpected happens.
Well, strong run for car number 63.
10 laps to go for one of the nice gentlemen of the sport, Jim Downing. They've won 2 races with that car this year at Miami and Sebring, and they had seconds in the 24 Hours of Daytona and Road Atlanta, and they lead the light standings at the present time.
Well, as you had mentioned earlier, Bill Alsop said that their fuel consumption had deteriorated in the race to what they thought it was, and of course we just saw the result of that, a fatal stop there which dropped them right off the tail of the Mafucci Downing car, and they'll never make it up in the remaining lap.
Final on that NBA contest this afternoon. Philadelphia defeating the Boston Celtics 115-104. The world champions trying to make it 2 in a row. The next game, Celtics leading the series 3-1. You'll see it on Superstation WTBS Wednesday night, 8:05 Eastern. Philadelphia at the Garden in Boston. That's Wednesday night. Philadelphia winning today over Boston 115-104. And the Superstation brings you the action on Wednesday night, 8:05 Eastern, as Philadelphia and Boston continue their war. Here this afternoon, the battle seems to be in hand for car number 14. Derek Bell of England and Hal Holbrook of the United States. 2 of the most respected drivers in the IMSA racing field are out in front. And there they are, lapping that number 34. Bernie Hoffman's our director today. Bernie, if you can get a picture of that number 34, what a story there. The car he just lapped is a car that was built for $15,000. Out they came with an old stock car chassis, and they continue to pull away from the field. Holbrook just whipped by them. They've been averaging about 30 to 40 miles an hour slower, but they're having a wonderful time with a little Mazda engine. It's called the OVS. It's the only one of its kind. Here is car number 14, staying well out in front. Has a lap on the field.
Just past the Jim Downing car, the leader of the Camel Light division there.
David,
back straight.
David, on that stop, the Redmond Haywood car, when 14 came in, has gone back in the lead lap, but he's on the tail end of it. So number 04, Redmond Haywood, is being shown in second place in the lead lap.
But he's right.
There is that gem, car number 34. Thank you, gentlemen. It's very rarely you see a prototype quite like that.
It sure is.
There's a $15,000 car competing against cars that cost in the millions. It runs in the Camel Light Series. It is not one of the front runners, but they're having a wonderful time here this weekend. They brought all the relatives, and they're out here, and they're competing against car number 14. They can go home and say, yeah, we tried, but Holbrook and Bell beat us this time.
Just beat us, I say. Just beat us. And there's old Derek Bell smiling as usual, and well, he might smile. If you're making the money, he's making you smile too. The Haywood car, as you said, the Redmond Haywood car is on the end of the lead lap. In fact, it's within sight. Derek Bell can see that car just 7 seconds ahead of him down the road, so as long as he can see him, there's really no need to pass.
David, I might mention that my pals Mike Van Steenberg and Larry O'Brien make up OVS. It's O'Brien Van Steenberg, and they have not had a good year. They were 21st at Sebring, but they were 4th in class, which is much better than last year when on the debut of that little car you saw, they tipped it over.
I thought it might be Ove Winner's Circle or something like that.
Car number 14 stays in front. Here is Derek Bell and Al Holbert's car out in front for the Charlotte Grand Prix with less than 9 laps to go, less than 8 laps to go now. Let's go to Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center.
And Ken Squier, we're watching a virtuoso performance here by Hal Holbrook, who has won 3 Camel GT championships and will take a big leap here today, it appears, toward his 4th title. And Derek Bell, who's so many times a winner at Le Mans, who jet hops back and forth between the World Endurance Series in Europe and the American Endurance Series here, the Camel GT. Their lead now extending to almost a lap with just 8 laps to go. We've got 42,000 fans looking on here. All in all, a pretty doggone good day of racing here at Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll be back for the finish of the Charlotte Grand Prix.
On the 2.25 mile Charlotte road racing course, 9 turns. You're watching the car number 14 trying to win its 3rd IMSA prototype race of 1985. Winner at Miami, winner at Laguna Seca, California 2 weeks ago. And here at Charlotte, the team of Derek Bell and Al Holbrook now begin to dominate after a tremendous fracas at the beginning of this race as the Ford Probe really showed some muscle. We saw a great battle ensuing as the Jaguars came to the front and they had their moment in the sun. But now it's the defending IMSA champion, Al Holbrook's colors, that are out in front. England's Derek Bell at the controls of the car as we get into the final laps. We have completed 133 of the 180 laps, and it is at a record speed this afternoon. With David Hobbs, I'm Ken Squier, trackside, and let's follow this car number 14 through the infield portion of the course with now 5 laps remaining in the event in our live Superstation coverage. We remind you at the end of the season, the Triple Crown will be yours, the fall Triple Crown of racing. You will see Rockingham, Atlanta, and Riverside, California, last 3 Winston Cup races of the season in live flag-to-flag coverage here on Superstation WTBS. Here's number 14, the 962, continues to rumble around this track as a prelude to the 600 when the Grand National cars come in here for that shootout for $1 million for Bill Elliott a week away.
Well, Derek, of course, is having a pretty easy run here now. He's just under a lap ahead of the Haywood Redmond car. I mean, he's got it within sight, so he just knows as long as he just keeps it there, he's in pretty good shape. That's not to say he's slowing down at all. He's still going very, very fast indeed, setting a record pace.
There's the 2nd place car. Hurley Haywood is driving number 04. You can see the bodywork a little loose from that moment of near disaster up on the banking at 180 miles an hour when a back marker was in front of number 804 and he had to go all the way up to the wall and get it sideways to recover that car.
The Team Jaguar, the other Team Jaguar, the 44 car that stopped for a malfunction of the gearbox in which the owner, Bob Tullis, was a bit worried about it going on, is in fact still pressing on it quite a good lick and is running in 4th spot.
Don't forget the Cubs versus the Braves this afternoon, immediately following our live coverage of the Charlotte Grand Prix. The Norelco Award, an additional $1,500 today for the outstanding performance in the race. Guess who won it, Hobbs?
Let me think. Gene Felton.
Nope.
Nope. Derek Bell.
Derek Bell. If there's any additional money ever offered at track, somehow it falls in the pockets of the man who's driving car number 14 right now, Derek Bell.
Now, why Derek Bell would get that and not Brian Redmond, I don't know, but there it is. I suppose that's the way of the world.
Voted on by the press. All that august body, one floor beneath us, has made their vote, and Derek Bell is $1,500 richer this afternoon. It's the Cubs versus the Braves, 4:05 today on Superstation WTBS. That's coming up next this afternoon. And Wednesday, oh my goodness, what a battle that's going to be. That's going to be the Celtics and Philadelphia. That's an oh my heart kind of battle, Hobbs. That one this year, always when Philadelphia and Boston get together. Of course, you people from England don't know much about that.
Is that cricket?
No, it's not.
Playing cricket? Oh.
Ask Dr. J if it's cricket. Here's car number 67. That is the Busby car that is running in 3rd place. Jim Busby back at the controls. Remember, they won at Riverside, California earlier this year. And here is number 14, Derek Bell, staying up in front. You are with Busby in the 3rd place car, coming round the banking. That is Busby back in the car, they're reporting. And now you're back with number 14 up on the banking another time. Derek Bell setting sail with 136 laps complete and 2 to go. It was such an outstanding battle for some 2.5 hours as that Ford probe gave America real hope that Ford is back in prototype racing. That wasn't all negative today, the way that car, with a change of engines this morning, came out and exerted its power, ran that 4-cylinder up in front of the field for quite some time.
Well, it was doing a tremendous job, and of course quietly getting on with the job after first lap spin was Bill Adam in the March Buick. Another domestic engine there, went extremely well, pulled in the field, and then they had an unfortunate demise when John Paul Jr. got behind the wheel and had an incident with the back marker, which put him and in the end Bob Aiken out as well. Here we see Derek in amongst the lap traffic there, the Dave White Porsche 935 and the Gene Felton Pontiac.
1 lap to go. 1 lap to go here in the Charlotte Grand Prix in our live coverage. Don't forget, Braves versus Cubs next this afternoon on the Superstation at Dover, Delaware. 425 miles down. Bill Elliott's in front, and the Bandit, Harry Gant, has come to second. Kyle Petty is third there. Kyle Petty, with the Wood Brothers car, is up in the 3rd position. A lap down, Ricky Rudd in 4th, and Tim Richmond, followed by Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty. Car number 14 in the back straightaway, running out the last moments of the Charlotte Grand Prix, and what a magnificent win for this Al Holbrook team. The IMSA International Motorsports Association champions of a year ago, about to receive the checkered flag. It's down, and Derek Bell has succeeded in winning the 3rd race for this team in 1985. Al Holbrook and Derek Bell victorious. Jaguar will come across with the 2nd finishing position, and the BF Goodrich car. Busby is going to see himself in 3rd. Here's the 04, still closing, lapping cars as time runs out. Hurley Haywood in number 04, as they're going to come through with a fine 2nd place finish today, David.
Yeah, the crowd standing and giving Derek Bell a standing ovation. Obviously must have heard about his award from Norelco.
Bodywork still loose and flapping on car number 04, but it's been an unflappable Hurley Haywood and Brian Redmond working that car throughout the race. Meanwhile, in the Camel Light winner coming across the line, it is the Jim Downing car. Mafucci and Downing winning in Camel Light. The Mazda Argo with Morgan Alsop for 2nd, Marsh Pauly for 3rd, Greenfield Hurlin for 4th. 4th place overall this afternoon in the prototype cars will be car number 44. It'll be Chip Robinson and Bob Tullius. There is the Jaguar number 04. Across the line, Brian Redmond and Hurley Haywood's team this afternoon. And the 44 just 2 or 3 seconds back, but several laps down after that lengthy stop on pit road.
Well, that win by Jim Downing will give him a huge lead in the Camel Light division. And, of course, Al Holbrook leads to a very, very impressive lead in the big division.
David, one of the things that really surprised me today was that the Jaguar seemed to give up 1st place over a matter of seatbelts. They spent an incredible amount of time trying to get the drivers adjusted to the car.
Well, it seems pretty amazing to me, because the one thing that team has, the Bob Tullius team, is run strictly on iron discipline and control. And for them to make a mess of a pit stop like that is most un-Bob Tullius and Group 44 like.
There you see the winners now stopped on pit road, collecting their crew to head to Victory Lane, one of the loveliest victory lanes anywhere on the racing circuit. And there we'll greet our winners today: Derek Bell, Al Holbrook, and the winners in the Camel Light Series this afternoon, Downing and Mafucci in car number 63. There's Gene Felton's number 47 coming in after a very fine run for that team today.
And Downing and Mafucci doing incredibly well and coming 5th. In fact, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th position. There's the leading car. There's Mafucci driving it into winner's circle. And coming
great performance here for that Camel Light machine, and for the Camel Light cars in general. I'll tell you, 6th, 7th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th is a good run for these little guys, and that's a growing division. Great day for Jim Downing, who helped give life to the division, and they're going to have their moment in Victory Lane right alongside that potent Porsche team of Hobart and Bell.
Average speed is a new record for the Charlotte Grand Prix, 106.691 miles per hour for Al Holbrook and company, erasing the mark of Lanier and Whittington in in their Chevy March of a year ago of 103.731. New record, 106.691. You'll be meeting some of the personalities who've battled it out here today in this IMSA race. 10 more to go in 1985. It's on from here to Lime Rock, Connecticut for their 2-hour contest on Monday the 27th, and then June 9th, the 500-kilometer race on the Mid-Ohio course, one of the loveliest courses in America, and of course July 7th, back to the Glen. Here we are, finding victory lane for the winners today. Pulling up Hal Holbrook, Derek Bell, and company. Great racing team, just waiting their time out through all the hurry and scurry of the early going, and then dominating totally the race in the final moments. Let's go to Chris Economaki.
Well, a smiling Derek Bell gets out of the car. Derek, you obviously are doing things right these days, reading the right books, drinking the right fluids, and so forth.
Well, I don't know about that, Chris. It's just the fact the car was so good. I had to drive it well within its limits and mine. I mean, we had to sort of keep it going with the fuel, the tires. The tires were really very, very worn.
Derek,
I'm not too bad.
You're drenched in perspiration. It must have been a tough drive.
I told you should drive with me sometime. It might get you in shape.
Maybe so. You told me that in Miami and I wasn't listening.
No, it's just that it's so hot in there.
You're soaking wet.
Yeah, but I'm not worn out at all. But it's just that it's so very hot inside, you know. I didn't even bother to put the cool hat on until the last 10 minutes.
Okay, what about the race itself when you were out there? The Jags were around. Were there any times, Derek, when you felt that you may not win this thing?
Not really, no, not while I was driving. I don't mean that in the conceited way. I mean that I knew the Jags had another pit stop to make, and I only had a very brief one to make right at the end, so I knew we were looking good, but I had a lot of tire vibration, and of course you don't want anything to happen on the banking, so consequently I took it very steady, and in fact came in early, and we just changed tires and found out that in fact there's a lot of rubber built up inside the rim and was making the wheel out of balance. There was nothing wrong with the tires, but I mean, never at any point did I drive anything more than 7/10 of the capability of myself or the car.
We understand that in the early stages, the throttle return spring wasn't the way it should be.
Yes.
How long did that situation prevail, and how difficult was it under those circumstances?
I didn't have to drive it, of course. Al was doing a great job mastering it. I still don't know quite what was wrong with it. But it was obviously cured when after the pit stop, because they sprayed some WD-40 on it and put it all right.
Well, Derek, you know, you really are all wound up. Most race drivers get out of the car and put on an act that it was tough and they can hardly talk, they gasp and breathe. Have you ever thought about television as a career?
You know I have, Chris.
Let's see, we can have, you've won a special award over here. We'll get Al. We've been talking to Al all day. Paul? This is Paul Dentone of Norelco. You've won the vote for the driver of the race, which carries a nice award with it. How much is the award?
$1,500 today for winning the first GTP Norelco Drivers' Cup.
Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you, and thanks very much to Norelco for supporting IMSA so well. It's really great. Thank you.
That's only one of many awards that you'll be getting. We'll be coming back here in a little bit. In the meantime, let's go to Jerry Garrett.
Well, Hurley Haywood down here just gotten out of the second place car, the 04 Jaguar. That was a long, hot, tough drive for you, Hurley.
Well, it was. We really screwed up on our pit stop, and it cost us some time, but the Jaguar was running great, and we just, I don't think we could have caught Al even if nothing happened. So we were lucky. The crew did a good job, and the Group 44 crew and Jaguar, so we were happy with second.
Well, even with the pit stop, if it had been a little bit more crisp, you would have had a hard time challenging, don't you think?
Well, it was so slippery out there that if you had to try hard, the chances of making a mistake and spinning in the gravel was monumental. So I just said I better cool it and be happy with second place.
Well, over here on my right is Brian Redmond, his co-driver, and you were suffering today from an unusual injury, I understand.
Yeah, I parted the cartilage at the bottom of my ribs the day before yesterday. Yeah, that's something I never did before. Old age.
Is that tough on you on the banking?
The doctor here in the hospital gave me a shot, local anesthetic before the race, and it was okay. It didn't give me any problem.
But tonight, different story, huh?
Well, maybe tonight. But we had a good day, really. It would have been very tough to have beat Holbert in the Porsche and Derek Bell. But our car ran perfectly, and I think we had a good day. It was a good day for us.
Okay, thank you. Now let's go for another report.
Okay, I'm here with Al Holbrook, the co-winner, who's here with his son, Todd. You know, your grandfather was a great racing driver, Todd, and your dad is. Are you planning to do this?
I hope so.
There you go. What do you think about that, Al?
It's fine with me as long as he keeps the wheels down on the ground.
Now, a lot of racing fathers have got their young children in go-karts and quarter midgets, eighth midgets. What kind of motorized vehicle does he have?
I think he's got one of each at this point.
Really?
Well, he's got a three-wheeler and a four-wheeler. Well, the family does, and a go-kart. And he traded his motorcycle in a go-kart, so he decided to go for four wheels.
How old is he?
Todd's nearly 11 on 14th of July, which was the traditional Watkins Glen date.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's nice to see you, Todd. Congratulations on a nice day, Al. Derek is over there talking about how great the car performed, but he's drenched in sweat. It looked like you have an easier time with the car than he does from a standpoint of physical exertion.
Well, I think he's on the spot more. If I mess up, then I got the answer to nobody but myself. And if he does, he's got to answer to me. I don't know. You know, Derek's always been, he's a terrific athlete in great shape, and he just sweats a lot. Like Hurley used to sweat a lot, and I don't. But the car was quite good today, and I glad we were able to run our pace that we decided upon before the race started, and Derek followed it to a cue. It made everybody, including our own guys, a little nervous at first because he was losing a little ground to the Jaguar, but that was the pace that we were deciding to run, and it worked.
Well, that's great. Congratulations again. Let's go now to Dave Despain.
And so the Charlotte Grand Prix is history, and here are the guys who solved the answer to the toughest question in endurance racing, and that is the question of strategy. How hard, how fast? These guys had the perfect combination today. Hobart and Bell come home winners by almost a lap, 1 minute and 6 seconds the interval. The people who are not here played very significantly in the story of this race. The Ford Probe with a last-minute engine problem this morning. They had to change that engine, barely got to the grid, and then had a brilliant drive, running in a tight pack of 4 up front for a long time until ultimately the car broke and dropped out of the race. The problems for the Buick continue. John Paul Jr. and his co-driver Bill Adam with another unfortunate day. Adam spun on the first lap, and then later they crashed with Bob Aiken while charging back and knocked them out of the race. And perhaps the most frustrating moment of all for Redmond and Haywood, who couldn't get the seatbelts changed and lost the race. That's the story and the running order. We'll be back to kind of wrap up the Charlotte Grand Prix in a moment.
Race and the race summary, averaging 106 miles per hour. 15 of the 30 cars finished the distance, 2 cautions for 7 laps. And perhaps the most dramatic of those 2 caution periods started when 2 cars came in contact going into turn number 1.
And there we see John Paul sliding across the glass, out of control, rams the left rear wheel of Bob Aiken's car, spins it round, and he heads on into that wall with absolutely catastrophic results. And if Derek Bell got the Norelco award for the driver of the day, Bob Aiken should certainly get the award for the most surprised driver of the day.
Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
Well, Ken, we've talked all day about the track breaking up. Now, here we are at the front of the Jaguar number 44. We can see here the front letters and the striping on the car has just been sandblasted off by the grit coming up off of this track. The word Jaguar here is just blown away. The striping down here, it's been a very tough race, a lot of damage to the cars. It's lucky that as many of them finished as they did. Let's go to Chris Economaki for another report.
Well, we talked to a potential driver, 11-year-old Todd Holbrook. We talked with his father, an active driver, 38-year-old Hal Holbrook. And here is the patriarch of the Holbrook family, a retired racing driver, 62-year-old Bob Holbrook. Bob, you must feel proud about having chosen auto racing as a profession.
Well, it's worked out real well, Chris, yeah, for the whole family. We enjoy it, and Hal's grown up with it, and he's doing a heck of a job.
Well, that 11-year-old grandson of yours looks like he's going to head for a life under a crash helmet. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he's starting about the same age Al did, really, and he's growing right up with it. And he's gung-ho to go, that's for sure.
Okay, well, maybe when my grandson is on television, he can be interviewing your grandson.
Yeah, well, everybody thinks it's great except his grandmother.
Okay, right. And now let's go to Ken Squier.
Thank you very much, Chris. Hobart and Bell win. Redmond and Haywood for Jaguar second. Busby and Knoop for the Porsche BF Goodrich team in third. Tullius and Robinson fourth. And it was Jim Downing. Our congratulations to him for his great victory in the Camel Light with Mafucci this afternoon. Morgan and Alsop finishing 6 overall and second in the Camel Light race. 15 cars finished the distance today. We want to thank you for being with us for our live flag-to-flag coverage this afternoon of the Charlotte Grand Prix. The Cubs and Braves are next. For Dave Despain, Chris Economaki, Jarrett Garrett, David Hobbs, I'm Ken Squier. That's the story of the Charlotte Grand Prix.
Promotional consideration and a fee have been paid by the STP Corporation, makers of Son of a Gun Protector. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads, depend on STP, your car care company. And by BF Goodrich, makers of a complete line of high-performance TA radials. And by Jaguar. Jaguar's powerful racing V12 sets the standard for a distinctively elegant grand touring car. The Jaguar XJS, a blending of art and machine.
Live coverage of the of the Charlotte Grand Prix has been brought to you by Dodge, a performance revolution, an American revolution. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by BF Goodrich, makers of a complete line of high-performance TA radials. And by CNN and CNN Headlines, America's most important networks.